ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to welcome Mr. Amitabh Kant, the Chief Executive of National Institute of Transforming India, which is called Niti Aayog. Welcome, Mr. Kant. Thank you very much for taking time out. We know how busy you are. Probably you are one of the busiest person today in India if one talks after the Prime Minister. So greatly appreciate you giving time to us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege to welcome Mr. Amitabh Kant, the CEO of Niti Aayog. Just to update you, Mr. Kant, what has been deliberated, in this roundtable up till now. At the outset, I must share that we have received an overwhelming response, from all over the world, for the second Asia SDG Roundtable. We have participants from 5 different continents for your information. We had initially Mr. Paul Pullman. He emphasized that role of private sector is extremely critical. He has given a wake-up call to the CEOs of the companies that businesses have to take a responsibility and not be bystanders in a system. Corporate leaders have to show courageous leadership and act fast and responsibly in accelerating the SDGs. He also talked about central theme in his book, which he recently wrote, Net Positive, being published by Harvard Business Review. He spoke about how courageous companies thrive by giving more than they take. Mr. Mukundan, MD of Tata Chemicals, who is also, and Mr. Santrut Mishra, CEO of Carbon Black and the Director of Aditya Birla Corporation Management Corporation. Both of them are also founding members of the Mervyn King Academy for Sustainable Development in Asia. They talked about the initiatives taken up by their respective group companies and what is happening collectively as industry voluntary actions. By the way, let me just take 1 minute to formally introduce Mervyn King to you, the man himself, the patron member of the Mervyn King Academy. If you remember, sir, in 2019 in Hotel Taj, when we launched Mervyn King Academy, we had the privilege to have you there. So, Mervyn, can you see Mr. Amitabh Kant? Just if you can, just say hi to him.
Hello.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kant, it's my pleasure to invite you for your keynote address, sir, on the theme Accelerating SDGs, Success Stories from India. Over to you, Mr.
Kant. I'm truly delighted to participate in this second Asia SDG Roundtable organized by the Mervyn King Academy for Sustainable Development in Asia. I'm aware of the excellent and timely work being done by the Academy with important corporate leaders and other stakeholders to enable connected and effective interventions on the SDGs. Since we have a lot of ground to cover in the region in this critical decade of action, conversations like the ones today are extremely consequential. It is exceedingly concerning that our region is not on track to achieve the 17 SDGs by 2030. UN SCAP tells us that at the current rate of progress, the region may achieve less than 10% of the SDG targets. The COVID-19 pandemic has also queered the pitch. Efforts at SDG implementation must therefore go hand in hand with the comprehensive response to the pandemic. We can take heart from the fact that the achievements of the region on the goals of health and well-being, SDG 3, and industry innovation and infrastructure have been the most promising, which can substantially aid us in our drive. We can also derive confidence from the fact that there has been outstanding progress in terms of activation of the whole spectrum of stakeholders in SDG implementation between 2016 and now. But there is a need to have shared charity across all stakeholders, shared clarity across all the stakeholders regarding areas where progress is lacking or tardy, which interventions are succeeding and which are not, which specific areas need more efforts or resources, etc. Hence, we need to have reliable and real-time evidence to help us answer these questions and guide the interventions and resources. Niti Aayog is actively addressing these issues in India. Since 2018, Niti Aayog is bringing out the SDG India Index every year, which analyzes progress at national as well as subnational levels on identified SDG targets and indicators and ranks subnational governments. Besides creating a positive competitive ethos among the states and union territories, which propels them towards better performance, it identifies areas of improvement in a comparative context. Thus, every state UT is able to determine specific action areas with reference to each SDG and related targets and appropriately modulate its development planning, implementation, and monitoring. Similarly, the index can also guide the private sector, civil society organizations, and other agencies to situate their own initiatives towards better outcome. Niti Aayog has now taken the SDG India Index much closer to the ground in the northeastern region with the publication of the SDG District Index. It analyzes progress on the SDG targets of each district of the 8 states of the region based on available data. It has extended the catalytic impact of competition to the districts while making the SDG progress analysis much more granular. The evidence generated by the SDG indices is crucial for determining the direction of social as well as corporate entrepreneurship and deployment of resources, while helping the state and district administration to get more accurately and intensively engaged on problem areas. The SDG indices also show directions for targeted intervention by the private sector and the civil society organizations as well as their partnership with the government. As it is, the SDGs provide an excellent investment framework as well as compelling ethical imperative for the private sector to create and protect value. They can do so by promoting and integrating sustainability measures in their core business and across the whole value chain, which in turn would enhance their brand value, increase operational efficiency, and improve staff and customer loyalty. While corporate motivation for achieving the SDGs can vary from one business to another, the SDGs undoubtedly offer an expanded horizon for new business solutions and opportunities to contribute to the 2030 agenda. These opportunities simultaneously provide the private sector players with social legitimacy and broaden the scope for building relationships with various stakeholders through the shared persuasion emerging from the SDGs. The business reporting system in the country now fully acknowledges the role of the private sector in contributing to the attainment of the SDGs. The National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibilities of Business has been updated to better reflect the thrust on sustainable and business responsibility reporting and released in 2019 as the National Guideline for Responsible Business Conduct. The formulation of the National Guideline for Responsible Business Conduct also led to the revision of the SEBI BRR framework and release of the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. Therefore, business actions impacting the SDGs can now be fully captured as part of the non-financial disclosure. On the other hand, the SDGs cry out for harnessing of new technologies, innovation, skilled human capital, and high growth entrepreneurship, which the private sector can prolifically bring in. Indian private sector has made tremendous progress in ushering in new generation of technology and innovations. Indian IT service industry is now an essential part of the world's digital ecosystem. In recent years, the industry has expanded into cutting-edge fields such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, analytics, cloud migration, the Internet of Things, and other forms of digital transformation. India is now a hub of high-tech services offering partnerships, opportunities to high-end collaborators. The government has taken substantial steps towards transforming India into an innovation-driven economy. We've jumped up 79 positions in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business. The government has brought out schemes and initiatives such as Digital India, Make in India, Invest India to strengthen the enabling ecosystem. As a result, India has witnessed a leap in patent applications with a huge growth year on year over the last 3 years. Manufacturing startups are today vastly expanding the frontiers of the industry, creating innovative products using robotics, artificial intelligence and analytics. Indian entrepreneurs as well as government are striving to integrate new age robotic technologies, and we are moving forward in a range of cutting edge areas with a focus on design and develop in India. We've seen the development of emergence of about 24 new unicorns during the current year. The Indian economy is now buzzing along a new unique growth trajectory in the post-COVID era. I'm sure all participants in today's roundtable will share my optimism. The success stories we will discuss today will also boost this buoyancy and positivism. Our region has a lot of responsibility to contribute to the world's progress on the SDGs, and I believe that we would make good that commitment with our diligence and accomplishments. As I conclude, I would like to thank the organizers for this initiative. I have great faith in the mission of the Mervyn King Academy and the leadership of Justice Mervyn King, whom I have been thrilled to know. My best wishes for all the undertakings towards bringing the SDG to fruition. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Kant. If I can request you to please stay on a little bit. I just want to say that a particular request. Before I make that, I must say that the new age India and the future ready India that you have talked about, we all share your optimism, and I'm sure our overseas listeners are also listening to this. I have one request. The Asia and Pacific SDG progress report, that you talked about, has mentioned one particular point, about the data gaps. So if, when you're back with your SDG team, if you can sort of talk to them about this, and in India, if we have any data gaps, how can we sort of bridge them? And you're aware that Mervyn King Academy has been formed with the support from the private sector, with the 5 large organizations like Tata Chemicals, Godrej Consumer Products, Aditya Birla Group, Nestle, Infosys. We have a request, and as you're aware that Niti Aayog publishes every year this SDG Index and Dashboard report. I'm sure currently the report for 2022 is in progress. May we request that you have been engaging into multi-stakeholder engagement when you come up with these reports to assess the progress of SDGs in India. If we may also be involved, we would love to contribute to this exercise of Niti Aayog, sir. That's one request.
I'll be very happy to do this. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you, sir. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a big round of applause. As always, Mr. Kant, listening to him is very, very electrifying personally for me. So thank you, and claps for you, sir. Thank you once again for giving your time despite of the fact that you're so busy.